It's time for carnage. It's time for mayhem. It's time for the interactive experience.
Hello and welcome to the Interactive Experience podcast. I am the new host, apparently, Sal, your pal, and I'm here with Christian.
Finally in studio.
Finally in the studio. No lag.
No, I won't get cut off or anything.
We're doing good, Mark. We're taking over. We're making things good since you're gone. How you been? How's your life been?
I've been tremendously busy. Work has been not too bad, but as we were prepping for PAX East, things ramped up a little bit. We were showing off Below again, and from all indications, it was awesome.
Nice.
People loved it, so that's always the best thing you can hear, because there's always a little bit of paranoia when you release something into the wild. Even though it's just a short demo section, you're still thinking like, oh my god, I hope people still appreciate this, still like it, aren't going like, wait, this isn't what I expected from the last time I played, or there's not enough here, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I still couldn't beat the demo with given a few hours, so.
Nice.
It's like a 2-hour demo for me, and I think people are getting, if there's a lineup, you're only getting half an hour to play, so.
Yeah,
who knows if people are going to be seeing the end of that demo, but.
Fun.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was hearing someone say something the other day where it's like, in the future, I hope they don't release trailers, they just release demos. So
I can understand that completely, because you get so much more out of actually playing it, but you can then show something so much earlier when you have just a trailer, because you can either... Well, I mean, there's obvious tricks of like, oh yeah, we faked it. Like, there is no game yet. You can totally just make a video that looks like a video game.
Yep.
But it also is very good to communicate your point without having to do a ton of development, because suddenly people can go like, oh, that looks terrible because of this. And you go, oh shit, we better fix that. It's a good thing we didn't make this yet.
It's a good thing we didn't make this.
Yeah. But I totally agree. I love the idea of more demos, but I think demos are actually, in general, negative for game sales, because a lot of people will play the demo and be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I don't need to buy it. And then they pass.
True.
So I don't know that demos are as effective for actually selling games as people think. But I do love them as a player, because I get a chance to check things out. And if I like it, I buy it. And if I don't like it, I pass.
Yeah. Because I know with Fallout 4, the head guy, I forget his name, who runs the show there, he says, because they announced Fallout 4 like a couple months before it actually releases it. And apparently that was a really, really good thing, because back in the day, you release something 5 years before it actually comes out. And I remember that feeling where it's like, oh, I'm reading in a magazine, oh, Super Mario Sunshine's coming out soon. Oh, what year is it? Oh, 2002. Haha, it's 1990. I don't know what year it was. 1997. Yeah, it would be something like that. Or a game like Twilight Princess, where like they announced it in like 2003 or something, and then they finally released it in 2006 because they kept delaying it.
Well, like, because the next Zelda, we're still waiting for that?
Yeah, it's because like they were secretly just porting it over to the Wii, even though they didn't want to tell us. Those guys, those bastards. Which I think they're pretty much doing that now with the current Zelda.
Instead of releasing it for Wii U, they're going to next, whatever we're calling that now.
Yeah, whatever the next Zelda.
Unreleased Nintendo console.
NX, new experience. I don't know.
You know what? As a theoretical, I'm very interested in what a new experience for Nintendo looks like. Because a new experience for them could just be a sit down and play with a regular controller.
Imagine that. That'd be.
Oh, look, they're exactly the same as everybody else. But that's actually something I don't want to see happen, because I really like that there's some variety. Mm-hmm. Like, VR is a whole new wild world, and it's kind of jump-starting a PC. But like, obviously, PS4 is getting into it with their VR. And I'd love to see what Nintendo is planning to do, because they've been so out there, so weird. Like, it's very interesting to pick up that Wii U gamepad and play a game. It's like, fuck, this is so weird and cool and interesting. I want more to do with this. So I'm actually, I'm more interested to see if they do something really cool. I would be actually very disappointed if they just said like, hey, look, we also made like a PS4 and Xbox One. And,
that'd be okay. I'd be cool with that.
Well, what benefit do you get of it? You have those other systems. It would just be great for more companies to be developing games for Nintendo hardware, because Nintendo hardware is never awesome, but its limitations spark creativity.
Yeah.
The the weird control schemes spark creativity, and it ends up being far more interesting when you can make something that's specifically designed for it. If you can't, then it's like, oh, I don't know what this is anymore.
Yeah, I really like the games that were like specifically made for like the Wii and the Wii U. I wouldn't say the GameCube, because the GameCube was kind of like a more powerful PS2, but like with less space. I don't know what they were doing there.
Was it more powerful?
That's what I heard. I heard the GameCube was more powerful than the PS2.
That's so funny to me because it doesn't feel that way at all. And I'm wondering if there's like, oh, well, we didn't have the same RAM amount, so like they were short on RAM, and that affects like everything you do, or something like that. There might have been one stat that was lower, and that just like changed everything.
All I know,
obviously the discs had a ton less
the
space.
discs were like 1.4 gigabytes, whereas the PS4 and the Xbox were like 4 gigabytes. So it's like
4.7.
You gotta like shrink that down. I remember there would be like, I would play Need for Speed Most Wanted on the GameCube and then play it on the PS2. The PS2, the roads would be shinier, the music would be longer, and it would be like, you know, a better game. And then you play it on the GameCube, and it's like the roads aren't shiny. Then they cut off the songs, like the intro and the outro of the songs. You just get the chorus of every song. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. That sounds like a much nicer experience, which is kind of Nintendo's technical downfall. Like if they can't deliver a better experience within the limitations that they present themselves, they're sort of putting themselves up against the wall. Like if the GameCube is more powerful, but they have to limit it because of the size of the disc. Like that was one of those limitations they put in. It's like, hey, people will love this, a mini disc.
They were cool though. They were like,
they were so cool. But
yeah.
Like you look at the way it hampers a gamer in the sense that, look at all I can get on this game. Like you're just describing all the things you liked more about a PS2 version versus the GameCube. So did that little disc make up for it? No, you much rather play on a full-size disc and be like, ooh, this isn't cool, this isn't novel. Like cartridges are great. I think cartridges are super fun, but they're cool, they don't necessarily make a ton of sense anymore.
Well, they load quicker.
Yeah, they load quicker. Like that's absolutely the best reason to have them. Unless you can find like a super fast medium to...
Yeah, they're essentially just like RAM sticks you stick in them. You know how like computers have like little RAM chips? Because when I was younger, I opened up a computer. I'm like, wow, these are like Nintendo games, and you just stick them in. That's why everything loads so quickly, because there's literally the RAM.
Yeah, it's just a little cart. Like when we were working on DS stuff, you would have the temporary cards. Like they were this big bulky card that stuck out the top with a big face on it. So kind of club shaped like a big P, and you insert the stem in. And you could unscrew that and pop in a new, I forget what it was called, ESRAM? EDRAM? Something like that. But anyway, you could put in a larger chip into that to simulate what it was like for the actual game, because you wanted to try one that was the actual size, and then you'd want to technically develop one that had more, so if you had crashes you could turn on the debugger and use it while it was going, whereas otherwise you wouldn't be able to see any of the debug information. Wow. But I remember thinking that was super cool. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just like a little memory chip in there. Like that's all it is. But like when you look at a cartridge, you're like, what all could be in there? Amazing.
Oh my god! You kind
of get excited and lose your mind. But yeah, it's totally just like a RAM type chip.
Did the DS games have battery back saving, or were they like flash memory?
Oh, I want to say it was flash memory, because I've got some games that definitely still work for the DS, and and my saves are still there.
Well, they're not. They're not 20 years old yet.
No, is that the life?
Well, I remember a couple...
I'm just thinking original Nintendo. Was it 10 years ago that those all started to die?
Was it 10 years ago? I think it was, yeah. I have
a terrible sense of time, so I'm not the right person to ask that question.
It sucks, because I see like my Nintendo 64 game, there's like a little bit of fungus growing on it too. I'm just like, oh mold, gross. No, get off. Because I'm like, and then I realized like, holy crap, I'm old. Wow, there's like mold growing on my old Nintendo games. Like they're biodegrading in front of me. Wow, that's sad.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And like I need to change some of the batteries in my N64 games. But I always wonder, like, how did they fix that? Because I don't know, like the 3DS, they saved some stuff to the system.
Yeah.
But like, how did they do with the DS?
I'm pretty sure there's some extra room on there for saves.
Probably, so it's like a flash.
Some empty space. Yeah, so you can write directly to it and then take it out. There's no like internal battery. It's like an SSD kind of thing. I'm pretty sure it's just that. There's nothing. There's no secret magic, to my knowledge.
I always wondered, because it's like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that the NX might actually go back to SD cards. So you'd have like the 128 gig SD cards for the games.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
128. Those
are they cheap?
carts are going to be No, 128 ones are super expensive. But
Are they? Oh, well, maybe I'm thinking like okay.
SD cards have come down in price tremendously.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be bulk buying them, I'm sure there's a way around that. Like if they say like, hey, we need like 10 million of these, I'm sure they're going to get a good deal on them. But
true.
128 would be amazing. Like 64 is still kind of expensive. Like it's probably is it like 20-30 bucks
64 is good.
Card.
Yeah.
And that also depends on the speed of it, and it depends on the exchange rate because I'm thinking of Canadian prices, but American prices might be even better. And who knows what the
because the Blu-rays are 50 gigs, right?
Yeah, and I don't know what those cost as a disc, but I imagine it's relatively inexpensive because it's literally just plastic. Whereas the SD card has to have another material in it to actually hold the information, and there's the little metal slots to actually read off of. Like there's actually mechanics in there, whereas a disc is just like a plastic disc with just a very thin sheet inside. I'm so excited for when games are like put on water and put on DNA and like that's gonna be fucking cool. I'm so excited when games are like that, but they got to find a way to read that information.
Because I know Blu-rays are trademarked by Sony, so like I don't know if they'd want to like they want to pay for the licensing to have the Blu-ray on their system. Actually, I think the Wii U has some kind of Blu-ray disc on it. I think. No one's ever
tried. I've never.
No Blu-ray discs. Like the discs are like Blu-rays, but they're 25 gigs. They're not 50. So they're like a form of Blu-ray. I don't know. No one's ever admitted. I know when the Xbox One said it had Blu-ray, I was like, wait a second, that's Sony
paying a licensing fee for that. I don't know what Nintendo's doing. I didn't even know the size of the discs because I use my Wii U so infrequently. But if they are using the 25 gigs, those would be Blu-rays, and that means they are paying the licensing fee for every disc they buy, and every console they release is paying that same fee. So I have a feeling at some point people are going to want to get away from disc-based, and getting back to those cartridges. Like if you could put all your games on like an SD card. The problem with SD cards is it's a standard format. So that people are going to crack it as soon as friggin' possible.
Well, they'll make like a proprietary system or like cartridge.
Yeah, Flash or something, and they'd be able to load onto it something totally different that Nintendo doesn't want. So I think that's why they really like their DS cards because they're a totally different format. Nobody else has that. You can't just plug that into your computer, and they don't sell anything that allows you to do that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you ever heard about the R4 cards that came out for the DS.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Those were actually just with a tiny little micro SD card inside them, so you could then take that card and put it in something else and put it in your computer. But there was never a way to actually like plug in the DS cards and get them directly on your computer.
Yeah, because I remember the near the end of the DS. They like figured out that like 70% of the people were pirating games on the DS, which was like that's a huge number to be stealing games. It's insane, and the games were small too, so of course you can put them all on an SD card.
Oh, they were very small, and even better for like retro games because they're microscopic. People were putting a ton of them on their R4 cards.
Yeah.
And when you don't have to connect your system to the internet, or you can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, shit, we figured out a way around it. Oh my god, quick, patch that. Oh, we can't. So that's why everybody loves these internet-connected devices from a business standpoint. But it's, you'd like to be able to do what you want with your own console, but I understand that they don't want to facilitate piracy. And as a game developer, I also wouldn't want people to be pirating our games. But I would think for something that's retro and putting emulators and stuff on there, I find that interesting rather than bad. It's maybe controversial, but I'm personally kind of pro emulation.
You are?
Yeah, I recently saw this very interesting talk. I can't remember who it was now, and I feel stupid for that. But it was a talk for the GDC. There was a Game Vault talk, and the guy was saying like, everybody supports emulation, and everybody should support emulation. It's not illegal. Apparently, Nintendo, for some of their Nintendo Shop games, some of the retro games, instead of porting themselves, they had just taken these NES ROMs off of the internet, like copied them off the internet.
Are they really doing that? Wow.
Well, the reason he said that they were doing that was because they're at the top of most of the files that are used on the internet. They're they're coded so that people know, like, oh, when I see just this format, I know that this .rom is specifically for SNES or NES. And that was embedded in the same file that Nintendo was selling. And they wouldn't do that on their own files because when they originally released them, they never had that. So the theory is they just grabbed them off the internet and said, well, this is easier than us copying them over. So they just downloaded it there, from what I understand.
That's funny because there was a system called the Retron 5, which was like a...
Yes, it was like a 5-in-1 game console.
Yeah, and it ran like the ZNES program.
Yeah.
Like they just stole the emulator off the internet and just ran it on the console.
But
like
the weird thing was you had to plug in the game still.
Yeah.
But it just like the processing system it was using wasn't like Nintendo's own. It was this open source one.
And like
is that NES open source? I feel like it might not.
No, I think it's not. Basically, it's like open. Yeah, I think it's open source, but the company that made the Retron didn't own that thing, so they were selling like a program that was not owned by them.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be free.
Yeah,
sometimes they're not necessarily open source, but they're free for non-commercial use.
Yeah,
so
that's
somebody might have been just like, oh yeah, fuck it, we're just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, which, man,
shame on them, because like if you take something good and free like that and then you mess with it, I'd be a little annoyed too.
Well, you're selling it to people.
Yeah,
and you're not telling the people that made this, like that made the program, hey, we're selling your program in our console.
You're not offering them anything, which is what you're supposed to do. Just tell them, make sure it's okay, see what they want, if anything. Yeah, when you try to sneak away with it, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, good job.
So you want to talk about the PS4K, because you've been bringing this up a fair bit outside of the podcast.
Yeah, we've been talking about what we were talking about. Like, what were we just talking about? Retro gaming. We went from retro gaming.
Well, we talked about new systems to the formats games are released on, and then we got on cartridges, and then went back to retro.
I don't think many people know, but you're actually a game developer.
I try not to like jump out and announce it.
Okay, I won't. All right.
Well, I already talked about it on this episode, so everybody will cut it. But I just don't want to like bring it up every time.
No.
And say like, hey, that's for this company.
I know that's the rule. It's like no one can talk about what they do outside of the podcast. That's why I'm like with Mark. I'm not going to tell anyone what happens.
For me, it's I mostly just don't want if I see something stupid, I don't want it to reflect on anybody else.
Exactly.
I might have my own stupid views, but nobody I work with necessarily would share those.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The company I work for, too, is big on the internet stuff, too.
Yeah.
The only funny thing I could share from that was I watched a coworker get yelled at the other day. It was fun. He deserved it. And I went to the guy, and like the guy deserved it. Like he's basically yelling at us to work harder, and basically that's making us stress out more. And then we yell at him. He's like, "You don't have to yell at us to work harder." It's like we know what we're doing. Yeah. 12-year-old, 35-year-old. Come on. So PlayStation Neo. That's what it came. That's the code name apparently, according to rumors, which is funny because they called VR Morpheus, and now they calling the
I wonder if that's just internet people being like, oh yeah, look, that'd be great because it used to be Morpheus, now it's Neo, next it's going to be Trinity.
I totally see that happening.
That would be pretty funny if that was like somebody internal was like a huge fan of the Matrix. We're like, why not? Let's do it.
The funny thing is I actually had notes for this whole segment, but I forgot them at home. Always remember to leave it next to your door. I didn't leave it next to I put it next to my computer. I'm like, okay, I'll pick it up on the way out. Nope. Did not do that.
Yeah, dashed. Whoops.
And then when I got here, I parked in front of a fire hydrant. I didn't think it was a big deal. And then Tyler came out and he's like, why did you park in front of a fire hydrant? And I'm just like, oh, whoops. And he's like, you had the option not to. Why did you park in front of
It's true. This is a very strange day where there's not a ton of people parked outside the studio.
I know.
And it's tough to find street parking.
And I'm like, yes, I am an idiot. Thanks.
Thanks for checking up on me. I appreciate it.
Tyler. But yeah, so apparently there's, according to more rumors, because this is all we have going on is rumors, is that AMD's like making like processors for like 3 different consoles apparently. So I don't know if they're making a new Xbox.
3 different consoles, not necessarily all Sony. Like
it could. No, I think
thinking you mean like they're just working on 3 chips for consoles. Because I don't know if they did the ones for Vita, but I could see like Vita, PS4.
I think they're done with the
Let's say
Vita.
Xbox One.
Yeah.
But I was under the impression from years ago that they kind of won all 3 of the console bids. So, like, everybody who games on PC is using NVIDIA, and everybody who's using...
Really? Is using AMD?
Yeah. for all the consoles. That was my understanding a few years back. I don't know if that's still the case, but so because that wouldn't change the status quo. So if they were already making chips for 3 different consoles, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not trying to bum you out, but I'm looking at your face and seeing like you're like, oh man, took the wind out of my sails.
No, it's not that. It's just like for the longest time, Nintendo had ATI with powering their crap. I don't know anything about ATI, but that would make then like I feel bad for them. They're like, oh man, we lost our license, we lost our contract.
Did they say so? Who's making the chips for Nintendo right now?
Good question. I don't know. I should know this stuff. I'm the Nintendo guy.
Well, you just said they lost it, so I'm assuming it's not ATI. But I would have guessed it was ATI. I know the Wii was because the Wii. I thought the Wii U was too.
The GameCube was ATI. The Wii was ATI. I think the Wii U is maybe ATI because it uses the same architecture, so that it's able to play the Wii U games.
Yeah,
because of the same architecture.
Yeah, Wii U all on the same console.
Which is funny because it's like dated architecture, just like super powered to like be up to the standards it is now.
Yeah.
So I heard somewhere it's like the CPU is based off like a 1992 IBM computer or something, but just like accelerated to like meet the standards of today.
Oh, I sadly wouldn't be surprised.
It's just like what? So yeah, there's a rumor coming out that in 2016, the end of this year, the PS4 is going to get a redesign. And if I had my notes in front of me, I would tell you like the exact specs. But basically, like everything's kind of getting boosted a bit, all the stats of it. And then, according to more rumors, in October, every PS4 game coming out will have to be able to be optimized to run on the PS4K or the PlayStation Neo. But if games released in September have to have a patch so that you can, it could run on the Neo, which is weird. So then, which is kind of it pisses off developers because now you have to develop a game for the base PS4 and then the PS4K, but you can't make the PS4K game like have beautiful graphics but like 30 frames per second for 30 frames a second, while as like the base PS4 is like 60 frames per second, but like not as good looking. Like it has to be like they both have to run the same kind of like way.
That seems like an indication that that's some fan theory.
Yeah,
because as a developer, that doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't. No,
that would make it to independent platforms. Like if you have to develop them simultaneously and have them run equivalently, and they're totally different hardware. Yeah, it wouldn't really make sense. If the mandate was it has to run on the original PS4.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah. I mean, then we're getting into this weird new 3DS issue, which is as a developer, I would imagine a nightmare. Nobody specifically tells me that stuff. I'm not on the technical level, but as a gamer, I'm like, man, fuck. Why do you do incremental console updates? Like, I get it when you're making the Slim. You're like, oh well, now we can make it cheaper.
The Slim makes sense.
The Slim makes perfect sense. So when you say a redesign, I go like, oh cool, maybe it's like the next Slim, which is fine. I usually buy the fat version and keep it and don't jump to the Slim. I haven't since my PS2, but my PS2 Slim is fucking pimp. Like you look at that compared to the fat PS2, and like, god damn, that was a monster.
They really slimmed that down.
Well, there's no expansion port, so like that that whole internet connectivity thing, you needed that giant box and to plug into the back. The Mini didn't have that, so I don't remember if it has a network plug in it. I'll have to go look at mine when I get home. But yeah, incremental system updates are...
Yeah, it doesn't make
sense.
It's
kind of a nightmare. No, but I wonder the rapid advancement of technology, I wonder if that's going to get us to a place where we do have to have shorter life cycles for consoles. Like instead of a 10-year or even a 6-year, maybe it becomes a 4-year or 3-year because like, look, things are just moving so fast. We had to release a new console because we can't make the games we wanted to anymore.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, yeah.
But that's another whole problem that Nintendo would sort of solve by having these really soft-looking games. Like you look at a Mario game, and it's beautiful because it's colorful and it's bouncy and it's energetic, and they add life in so many different ways rather than just saying like it has to be 4K textures and it has to have all these lighting effects and it's gotta have this and that. It's like they just inject so much personality.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more of that. Like work within your limitations. Don't force these new consoles out. So I hope the 4K rumor is not true. I could understand if it was slightly boosted, like we added more RAM, and that will specifically only be used when you're playing a 4K game. And now it's capable of outputting to 4K because we updated the HDMI to 1.4 or whatever it is, the HDMI 2.2 or like whatever one that does 4K. Because I'm not a tech guy. Whatever one does that, if they do that, I think it's totally fine. But if they go and do something completely different, I'll be kind of irritated. Like I don't want a half system upgrade. I just bought my PS4. I've only just started enjoying it.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like they'd be screwing over those people.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah, like
don't
you.
Screw me over. Fuck you guys.
And like even me, I haven't even bought a PS4 yet. Like I'm gonna get the PS4.
Now you're in the waiting cycle to find out if any of this is going to come to fruition. So you're stalled as a customer that you don't even want to buy. And I totally understand that. I find it a very weird situation. So I don't think they've come out and squashed these rumors. I think they've just kind of been like, okay, don't address it. Don't address it. Don't address it. Which probably tells you that they're doing something, but
yeah.
I hope it's not an incremental upgrade or a significant one. I hope if it's something, it's relatively minor.
Yeah, like our phones, we upgrade. They come out with new phones every 2 years. There's like a new phone.
If it's Samsung, it's like every 8 months. If it's Apple, it's every year. And that's too frequent without a subsidy. Like the only reason we all upgrade our phones is because there's a company offering us a subsidy. And if Sony's going to say like, hey, here's another $500 console you got to buy, it's like dick, man. It just like I don't want to get any benefit out of this other than slightly faster
in a consumer,
games. And I got to bank on the fact that you're going to put out games that could not be played on the old one. And if you're going to stop supporting it, like, fuck, I'm going to stop buying these things right away. I'm going to wait for them to come down in price. It seems like a mistake to do that. Unless somebody can explain to me the math of how it actually works in their favor. Like, I know it works for Nintendo, but they're like a weird company that seem to get away with shit like that nobody else could. That's my understanding, is like they just get lucky and like, oh yeah, Nintendo did it. Cool. Like everybody sort of shrugged off the fact that the new 3DS doesn't come with a power adapter.
What's up with that?
Everybody sort of shrugged off the fact that you have to dismantle your old system, so you can't trade it in advance. You have to keep it. Then transfer all the data to the new one, and then you can go and sell. So there's no way to like maintain all your purchases. Like, they're actually doing things that feel very customer unfriendly, but everyone's just like got so much goodwill towards Nintendo, especially as a mobile platform. They're just like, oh fuck it, it's so cool. Look, I'm doing it anyway. Guys, check out how great I am for doing this.
And those transfers back in the day, you can only do that twice. You can only move to a new system only twice, but now they've upped it to 5, so it's like I can only have 5 3DSs in my life. But if I lose, this is how fucked up it is. If I lose my 3DS, my new 3DS, which I have, like I purchased like a 32 gig card, I put in and I download all these games to it.
You see the new 3DS? You have one of the new 3DS?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I have all these games on it. It's not tied to any account, so like I downloaded Animal Crossing, I downloaded Smash Bros. So that's like those are like $40 games on my system. If I lose my system, like all those games are gone, basically.
Yeah, gone for good.
You can't log into an account or like iTunes and just download everything from the start. Yeah.
Steam has got it figured out. It works magically.
Steam's amazing.
Steam, as a platform, obviously it's got some discoverability issues, but that's good. That's what happens when you get huge and you've got an open platform like that.
Exactly.
And there's no iterations. Like when you've got the Nintendo platforms, you've got an iteration. You got your DS, you got your 3DS, you got your new 3DS, but like
new 3DS XL,
some backwards compatibility. Yeah, that was something I was going to bring up. So if you bought the 3DS and being a Nintendo guy, I'm assuming you bought the original 3DS.
I bought the original blue 3DS when it came out. Yeah.
Did you buy an XL when the XL came out?
I didn't. I skipped that one.
Okay, so I did the reverse. I didn't get the original because I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know, I'm not that intrigued. And then my mom managed to get a very cheap one through her work because they were like doing a raffle thing, and she paid like, I think it was like $120 and got the 3DS XL when it was still like $250 or $300. It was expensive, and I was like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't pay that. She's like, well, I got it cheap. I'm like, oh, I'll take it. So I got that, and I'm thinking if somebody buys the original, and then they buy the XL, and then they buy the new 3DS,
And then new 3DS XL.
If there's like a new 3DS XL and it gets bigger or different or just changes a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, how many times do I have to transfer this? How many times are you going to bite me in the ass to play these same games?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to own 4 versions of the same system. Like when I bought my original DS, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then came out the DS Lite, and I was like...
The DS Lite, that was cool.
Okay, that's what... And then the DSi,
and the DSi XL.
DSi XL, that's what it was. I skipped the DSi and the DSi XL. I was just like, this is retarded. I don't even understand what's going on anymore. I don't want these like micro games they're doing. I didn't think I wanted the camera. I've never used my like 3DS camera for anything except for like me generation, but...
I took pictures of my cat. I used to like be like, oh yeah, this has a camera on it. Oh, click. Oh, I'm sitting on the couch. Oh, cat. Click, click. And it would always look terrible. It was like 3 megapixels.
Which is not necessarily a terrible photo, but I think the lenses and stuff on there aren't great, and the processor's not great for photos, so you don't get those really crisp looking photos.
Yeah. But
screw incremental system upgrades.
So I
want that to go on a PC, and I am on PC. That's fine, maybe.
Yeah, and the thing with new 3DS, basically there's only 2 new 3DS exclusive games, and apparently like the processor on the new 3DS is like a lot better than the original 3DS. But no one's gonna make an only 3DS game. So the only new 3DS games is Xenoblade Chronicles. And
that one I was aware of.
Yeah, and Binding of Isaac, which is like an indie game. That. Yeah,
and
only 2 games.
I would love to know the sales numbers for those. Like, was it worth it to go to that next level, or are they sitting there going like, yeah, shit, we should have just tried to make it scale it back a little bit so it's available to everybody.
So, but they tested the Xenoblade. They ran Xenoblade like they ran it on. They basically tuned. I don't know what they did, but they tuned the new 3DS. Like they scaled back the power to make it match the original 3DS, and then they played it. It would run, but it would run in like 10 frames per second.
Yeah,
so they couldn't run it.
I heard something about that. Somebody experimented with what you actually have to do to get it to run on the base 3DS. And yeah, they had to turn a bunch of things off to scale some things back, and then like, look, we got it running. Oh, it looks like poop.
Like shit. Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that they're like, hey, we really, really want this game. We want it on this platform because it's so great. Played on mobile. I'm still kind of shocked that they would go that route.
Yeah.
And do an incremental just for like 1 or 2 games. But I mean, if it's a huge company, which it was, they're going to try to support them and take that next step. And I'm assuming, as Nintendo has done in the past, they see these great pickup rates for people who see these incremental updates. Like you announce, like, oh my god, now the 3DS XL has these replaceable faceplates.
Oh my god!
And people go like, fuck, I want replaceable faceplates. This stupid old thing doesn't even have that. So they go and get the new one, and I get that. There's sort of this culture around Nintendo that people buy into that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that exists for these other companies because they're far more Western.
I was going to tell you the differences, but so the differences between the 3DS and the new 3DS is the new 3DS has 2 more buttons on the top.
So there's like
2 more. Yeah, so it has 2 more buttons. It has Amiibo support, better processor, and all that stuff.
Doesn't the XL have Amiibo support?
The 3DS XL, no. The new 3DS has the Amiibo chip in the beneath the touchscreen.
That's the little NFC adapter.
Yeah, that's why
not in the 3DS XL.
That's not in the 3DS. No, it's only in the new 3DS.
I never tried because I don't own any Amiibos, but I kind of thought it was in that one. I just thought it wasn't in the original.
Didn't I send you a Snapchat of me tapping Amiibos on my 3DS?
Yeah, which again, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. Like it reinforced that notion in my head. I didn't realize that was the new 3DS.
Yeah, that was a new one, and it has the C stick on the side. So basically,
which is. Like, I get it. There's some games that's going to be great, but what do you... Like, incremental upgrade. You kind of fuck over either the developer who wants to develop for that because there's not that same adoption rate, or you fuck over everyone who didn't upgrade, and they're there's only like 2 games, or 3 games, or 5 games. Like, you need to have a base supporting it so that people want to build for it.
Because the thing with the 3DS now is that all the new games... Like, when you play a tutorial in a new game, like, let's say Monster Hunter or Hyrule Warriors, like I'm playing, the game will be like, if you want to do this action, press the X button. If you have a new 3DS, push this button. And it's like, oh, you're thinking like, oh, okay, what do I have? Like, oh, okay, yeah, so I can do this.
I would love it if it could identify what your console was. Like, it was like scan for L2. It was like, oh, it's got an L2? Oh, it's obviously. I would like that. I actually kind of hope that the new Nintendo console isn't a home console. I kind of hope it's a new mobile one. Like, it's just,
that'd be cool.
You know what? 3DS, we had a great ride with it, but this is the new experience, like next gen. We're going crazy. I want to see them do something really killer with that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm stretching.
That's totally cool.
Okay.
You can stretch it.
That's all good. Okay.
But the other thing I really like is the idea of, I think I mentioned this before. I don't know if I mentioned it in our Slack or on the podcast, but if there was a base unit that you could connect to wirelessly, like you have that gamepad for the Wii U, but it would be nicer if all the processing power was in that console so that you could walk away with it. I go to work and I've got my full console, but when I go home, I just hit like the TV button.
Ooh,
it's shot up there. And
that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. Like a 3DS where it folds up and down.
Yeah, and so your screens are protected, but you can still send to TV.
Yeah, but like it's not as big as the gamepad. I'm not going to carry that. But like if it's
that's too big.
If it's like the new 3DS or like that, that size, that'd be cool. I'm like, that's awesome. Like I get to play a game I go to work, play a game, come home, finish the game.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
I would love to see more connection to those, because remote play with the Vita is great but limited because the controls aren't even the same. They don't match up 1-to-1, so you can't actually play all those games, or you have to with sacrifices.
I had this thought the other day because there's a new Kirby game coming out, and I'm just thinking, like, I was playing my Wii U and I'm like, oh, that new Kirby game's coming out. I would really like to play the game on my TV, not on my 3DS. Like, that'd be nice. Because I wish the 3DS had like that kind of output where it's like I can play it on my TV.
Even if it was an HDMI micro or whatever. Yeah. Like there is that super tiny one that looks like the USB micro, and it can convert to HDMI at the other end. Like, fuck it, charge me $25 for that cable. But give me that ability. It would suck that it would be a cable. Yeah. But the fact that I'd be able to do it and sit down and be like, oh my god, this is great. I'm playing on my huge TV that I paid $1,000 for.
I want to get like an HDMI hookup for my iPhone, and then get a Bluetooth controller for my iPhone, so then I can do that same idea.
Oh yeah. You
play
get
a game on the
console experience.
Yeah, play a game on my phone, and then bring it home, hook it up to my TV. It's on my TV. There you go, perfect. Yeah, I want that.
My issue with the Bluetooth controllers for the iPhone is like all the games I play are better with touch. They're better.
Oh, okay.
So, what does that controller actually add for me? And the answer is basically nothing. But I think that's unique to my situation. I don't think that's necessarily true for everybody. I think a lot of people who want a game want to play with a controller, and like the touchscreen is sort of like, well, it's a gimmick, it's an add-on. I don't need that. I'd rather play with buttons. And that's cool. There are totally some games that are way better with the gestures and swipes, and those totally work for me. You were going to tell me a story about your iPhone case, because you've got a Nintendo seal of approval on there.
Oh.
What was that story?
I wasn't going to tell you that story. I forgot what I was going to tell you.
Oh, I thought you were telling me that.
I don't even remember. We were talking about Mario Huddle before we started.
Oh, yeah, that was... Okay, so
the Mario football
obviously
game.
This is PAX weekend, PAX East in Boston.
Yeah.
And the Friday when it started, I got a message from my boss in our Slack chat, and I was like, "Oh my god, they made a Mario football game!" And I was so excited, and I was like, "Oh my god, Mario Huddle! I have to remember to look this up. I have to remember to mention it." And when I got here and I told you that, you were like, "There's no fucking way that can't exist," because I follow so many.
Yeah,
Nintendo
I was just
people.
saying, I follow so many Nintendo YouTube channels. They know things.
They would have said something, and I was like, "You're breaking my heart. Please tell me that's real."
Yeah.
And what it turned out to be was a fan-made game that just so happened to get like either released or announced,
exactly,
or posted, whatever, around PAX East time.
This one channel I follow on YouTube, like they had the every single boss battle like in like on a vid, like you would click this video and you could watch every single battle in Star Fox Zero, which just came out like the day before, and like every single Easter egg, every single secret. Like they're like quick to the friggin' ball with this stuff, and it's like what happened to?
So if they didn't have it, chances are it wasn't real.
Yeah, like they would have been on top of this. But I'll probably hear about it from one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to go and see if there's like an emulator or a ROM or something of this. Something that you can play, even if it's like a web browser demo or a crummy downloadable. And like by the time we get to it, it can't be Nintendo characters. It's like knockoff Turtle Man and
knockoff Turtle Man. That's so funny.
Underwear plumber or something. Like I just want to see what somebody would have come up with. Like, it won't have all the Nintendo bells and whistles, but I like the idea of a simplified Madden. Because I'm trying to introduce a couple people I know to video games and finding what they're interested in. Like, Rocket League has been great. People pick that up and they get it, and they're like, oh my god, I don't even care that I'm not winning. I'm just driving around. You know, it gets a little disifying because you can go upside down and run on the walls, and
that's cool.
The way the camera jerks around is a little uncomfortable sometimes. But that's a great intro point, finding like a sport thing that people are like, I like soccer. So like when I think of Mario Strikers, I was like, that's a great arcade soccer game. It's not real. You can score 9 goals in one move because you can use some special ability. And that's
shoot red shells at people,
Yeah, it's a little weird. But I would like to see the version of other sports. And football is huge. Like, how do you not have a Mario football game? Like, when you think about it, you're like, holy crap, why haven't they done this yet? You can pit the Mushroom Kingdom versus the Neo Mushroom Kingdom, or the races. You get like the Toads versus the Koopas versus the
or like
Yoshis, or
like Donkey Kong's like a linebacker, and then like the Toads are like the runners. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like there's got to be some way you can do this. Like King K. Rool's got his own team, but it's like it's all in the Mario universe. So like they got to sort of set up Mario Kart, and then you find like, okay, what universe these people exist in? Okay, what are their henchmen? And you set them up as your linemen or your wide receivers or special people, or like Diddy Kong would make a sweet wide receiver for Donkey Kong as a quarterback. I'm just picturing Donkey Kong as big Ben Roethlisberger, just all upper body, tiny little legs, and just whipping that ball, because Ben does not run, and when he does, it's not running well.
I think we're running well with this.
Yeah.
So far. I forget what I was going to tell you, but...
Was it about Mario Huddle?
No, it wasn't that.
Your screen is either really bright or it's like electronic.
Oh, my screen, it turns and it goes blah blah blah. So I got a new phone, and one thing it does is that at a certain time it'll like only show like make everything warm colored. Because so that you can
or something.
Yeah, it's like
add-ons, the night mode or something.
Yeah,
I thought it was maybe your screen protector was kind of making it look like an old CRT. Like it looks like cool
sepia.
LCD. Yeah, it's got this weird sheen to it.
Yeah, and basically it's supposed to like make you sleep better, because like the normal screen it does something to your brain where like it wakes you up.
Oh, I totally understand that. I sometimes use my phone before going to bed, and when it's dark in my room, my eyes feel like they're frying. I'm like, this sucks. Why won't this get like, even when you dim it, it's not actually going dimmer. It's still got that bright white feel to it, even though it's
bright red, blue. Yeah.
So the yellow definitely works. That's why like Gunner optics are such a valuable thing.
I just had an appointment with an eye doctor, and she told me my eyes are completely healthy. And I'm like, I've been doing that every night. Like, I've been just on my phone. And she's like, are you sure they're okay? Yeah, your eyes are perfectly healthy. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, that makes sense.
I would not have expected that.
I'm like, thank you. I have a lazy eye, but it's like not my eye, it's the muscles around my eye. So like sometimes when you see me like close one eye, I close one eye because like this one would go out of whack, and then I'd like focus my energy, focus all attacks on this.
Very interesting.
But I forget what I was going to tell you, but I have a Nintendo Seal of Quality sticker on my phone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if
that was supposed to spark a story.
No, it didn't. It was just funny. I don't know, because this T-shirt I'm wearing is brand new, and I just took it off the T-shirt and put it on my phone.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
I thought we were streaming, because I'd be like, hey, look at me.
Yoshi T-shirt. This is apparently your streaming sweater, because you always seem to have this sweater when we stream.
Really? I don't know.
Well, because I remember the white and the black cuffs and the light blue around your neck, and which kind of matched your
I was wearing
headphones.
T-shirts. Yeah.
So this is like the sweater I picture you in when we do stream. So I figured, okay, it must be in the Sunday rotation.
People think it's a house coat. They're like, I'm not going to show up to your house in a house coat. That's kind of weird.
People have said this about you on the podcast?
No, I think who said that? I think Tyler or Mark said that. He's like, you're wearing a house coat right now? I'm like, no. This is
like when you're streaming from home, like you're.
No. When I was when I came here the other day, because it's a Billabong hoodie, but it kind of looks like a house coat. I didn't realize that. I should just wear pajama pants while
it totally doesn't to me, but I guess I can sort of see where they're coming from. Not really.
It's really fancy, really hip, and lots of like zigzaggies and zigzags. This is one guy I work with. He has like a bright green and purple like jacket. I'm just like, okay, I see you, and. It's like, keep doing what you're doing. That's fine.
Purple's great for clothes. I'm wearing maroon right now, so I'm not far off.
Yeah, just describe what we're wearing. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, and
We'll talk at you next week.
Yeah, cool.
Good night.
Peace out. Tim Hortons coffee. I'm out of here. Mumble on the way out. How do you stop it? I don't know. You do it?
No.
I thought that was great.